Well, hello, this is David McKay with Photo Enthusiast Network and McKay Photography Academy and Tours. And I wanted to show you today, I'm preparing to go on a 6-week trip we're leading photography tours in Mongolia, all over Central Asia and Pakistan. And one of the things that happens, I notice when we get out on our tours, people get to the tour and then they start looking at their gear as far as making sure their batteries are charged or their cards are formatted. I want you to think about this different. I want you to be prepared ahead of time. So if you're going to go on a photography tour, think about it like this. I don't know if you've ever fished. I'm not a good fisherman, but when I go fishing, which is rare, but when I do, I make sure everything is ready the night before. I don't want to get there right at the right time to catch my fish and then be figuring out, oh no, something's not working or my line's tangled or whatever it is. And that's how I want you to think about your photography gear. You should be going through everything, including cleaning the gear, before you ever step foot to go out on your tour so that you're ready to go. So I'm going to go through my preparation right now for a tour like this. It's going to be 6 weeks, my thought process, what I do, and hopefully you take some notes on this and you're prepared when you go on your photography tour so you're not last minute trying to make sure that everything is done, because that can be right as the sun comes up and then you realize, uh-oh, I didn't do what I should have had done and ready. And normally, my office, I have to keep it super clean. It's how my workflow is. I just can't do things if stuff's everywhere. But I'm going to have you come into my office, and this is how it looks when I'm preparing to go on a 6-week tour. Everything's everywhere. So I've got gear everywhere. I'm trying to figure out what bags I'm taking, what gear I'm taking, and it's just kind of a hodgepodge of stuff everywhere going on. And again, this is not how I normally operate, but I've got my gear cabinet open, I've got my tools out, and everything's just kind of everywhere. So I'm going to take you through, again, my process for how I'm preparing to go on such a long trip and what I'm going to be bringing with me. And again, no matter what gear you bring with you, just being prepared, making sure that everything is set and ready to go. Obviously, the first thing you have to think about when you're going to go on a photography tour is what gear you're going to bring. This particular trip that I'm doing, we are very limited on weight and we're very limited on the flights that we're on. So I've got a lot of choices to make here. Normally, I would take my trifecta of lenses. So that would be my medium overall lens. In this case, this is a 24-105. I would take a wide angle lens, 15-35, and I would take my longer telephoto lens. In this case, I have a 100-500. The issue that I'm running into is a couple things here. One is weight. Now we've got other videos that we've done showing how we get around the weight standards on flights. Make sure you take a look at that, because what we do is we just basically carry things on our body. They don't weigh you, so we'll stuff things into a vest or whatever if they're carrying your carry-on. But the other thing is, on this particular trip, I really want to be in the moment. It's not a landscape. There is going to be landscape photography, but there's a lot of culture working with all of these eagle hunters in Mongolia. And I've decided on this trip that I'm only going to bring 2 lenses, and I'm not going to bring my medium go around. Now again, all around lens, 24-105. I'm not suggesting you have to choose for yourself, but I'm going to bring my long lens. I know I need that for sure on this trip, and also for landscape photography, going to have my long lens. I'm going to bring my wide angle lens. Why? Because the wide angle will give me a different perspective, and it's going to force me to shoot a little bit differently with culture. So for myself, that is what I'm bringing. And if I was bringing all of these things, it gets really heavy. And in that case, almost always on our photo tours, I bring this Think Tank roller bag. This Think Tank roller bag is amazing. It's been all over the world with us. I've owned it for several years. What I love about it is it carries a lot, and I can roll it through airports, and because of that, it doesn't hurt my back. The issue is we're going to be on several small flights, and those flights will not even handle a bag like this. So I'm going to have to choose on a backpack. So what I'm going to do is bring my Mindshift 26L backlight, and I'm going to pack it, but I'm going to be thinking about what if I need to pull out gear quickly in order, because say they're weighing my carry-on. I know this, I can get it onto the plane, but maybe they're going to carry it. You know, some of these planes are 8 kilograms or about 14, 15 pounds. So I can quickly take my gear out, put it on me, and it won't be a problem. I'm not going to bring a tripod. Again, it has to do with this particular tour. Every tour is different, so you have to think through that, what you're doing, what the focus of that trip is. We're not doing a lot of astrophotography on this tour. The ISO, high ISOs now, we can get by with and we can clean up in software. So I'm really thinking about being in the moment, shooting quickly, not changing lenses constantly. And so for this trip, that is what I'm going to be doing. Now that we've done that, I'm kind of setting things aside. The next thing that I'm going to start doing is looking through all my gear, and the very next thing that I go through is my batteries. Now, what I'm going to do, and I see this happen all the time, is people bring their batteries, and first of all, we label our batteries because other people have the same batteries. You're using outlets sometimes in the same place. Batteries easily go from one person to the next. We label our batteries. I also label a charger. And what I'm going to do here ahead of time is I'm going to charge all of my batteries. So we're going to make sure these are fully charged before we ever leave. I'm leaving in 2 days, so I'm going to be prepping. And I always recommend a minimum of 3 batteries because your batteries can tend to go bad. Also cold weather. This is going to be a bit cold weather. I'm going to bring 4 batteries on this trip. Everything is going to be charged ahead of time, and I only work with name brand batteries. I don't buy any of the off-brand batteries. I've not had very good luck with those. So I'm going to go with 4 batteries. By the way, a lot of times on our batteries as well, this one doesn't have it. Let me see if I have one in here right now. I don't, but a lot of times on our batteries, we will actually label not only the name on them, but we'll put the year that we bought them so we know what our newest batteries are. Okay, so that's going to be next. I'm going to look at batteries. In this case, I'm taking 4 batteries, 1 charger, making sure everything's labeled, making sure everything is charged now. Now, when I go to fly on Thursday, it's also important I do not have my batteries in the camera. So I always check my camera bodies and make sure that there's no batteries in here. Why is that? There's debates on this, but the reality is even if your camera is off, electrical current can happen, and there has been experiences where people get what's called a burned out pixel at certain altitudes. We've experienced this before. We always just take our batteries out. It's also, in case you're asked about your batteries, we have them. It's easy. So I don't have any batteries in the camera bodies. They're all separate, but they are all charged ahead of time. So that's where we're going to go with that. So now after you've got your main items, you know, your camera backup body, and your batteries, and you're going to be charging those batteries. You have to think about extra. So this is a little blower. It's called a rocket blower. And you know, the one thing about this, I do bring these. I have to think in terms of certain countries that we go to. We've had one issue, and that was in Jordan. And in Jordan, they actually confiscated this. They said that I don't know why. I've actually also had this stopped and looked at in x-rays a few times, even here in the States. And I think because in x-rays, it looks like a little rocket in an x-ray or a hand grenade. Obviously looks something not great, you know, when it's going through an x-ray. So be prepared that you may have this with you. I am going to take it, but I'm also prepared that they may look at an x-ray and they may decide that they're going to confiscate it. They did in Jordan. It's the only place I've experienced that. But I'm going to bring this as an extra just for cleaning, especially in dusty environments. I always like to have one of those on me. All right. Next up on my list is lens cloths. Now, if you're going on a McKay tour, you know that we always bring extra lens cloths with us, but you want a really nice lens cloth to wipe your lenses down. You should consider bringing, we bring these Zeiss lens wipes, and you can get a box of these on Amazon or at Costco, Sam's. And these are, I don't use these on my lens all the time. Usually I wipe my lens with this because these can leave a little bit of a residue, but I use these to clean my camera body and the lens and any of the contacts off. So they're kind of these nice little wet wipes. They work really, really great on your camera system for cleaning. I will do that in between tours, just wipe them down with this. I don't personally clean my sensors on my own. The only thing that I may use for that is I may use the rocket blower, and I may try and blow some dust off the sensor, but that's the only thing I do. If it's that bad on your sensor, take it in to get cleaned. But I'm gonna bring some lens cloths, some wet lens wipes, tools. So Allen wrenches can be really helpful. I typically bring some different size Allen wrenches and also little mini screwdrivers. Why the little mini screwdrivers? Because of eyeglasses. And I actually just had this happen with a guest on our last tour, and I had a little eyeglass set that I bring. I also always bring an extra pair of eyeglasses. I cannot tell you how many times we've had guests that have broken a set of eyeglasses, and now they're kind of up a creek because they can't see. And so I always bring an extra set of eyeglasses and some little tools. Now, these are just different size Allen wrenches. I may cut this down depending on what gear I'm bringing, because I'm not bringing a tripod. Even on this trip, I'm taking off all of my plates on my lenses and my cameras to keep the weight down, because I'm not bringing a tripod. If I was bringing a tripod, obviously I'd have these, and I need the tools that function with those. The other thing that I'm going to bring is I'm going to bring a bag of cords. Now, I always have a little bag of cords that have various cords for downloading, that have, my card reader. I have an HDMI cord because I will maybe show some things on the computer to the group, but just a small thing of cords. I also usually have an extra cell phone cord, and I keep these little guys in here as just a way to share images or back up quickly something if I need to. So just basically a little memory stick. So again, just a little bag of cords, really lightweight. Now again, these are things I might have in my backpack now, but I'm not necessarily going to bring with me when I'm out on each shoot. I'm going to take all of this extra little stuff, and it might stay in my hotel room, but I have it there with me. And again, simply will get down to my camera, the necessities for that day that I'm taking out. So I'm not carrying all this as I'm walking around. Otherwise, it gets quite heavy. Tools. So Allen wrenches can be really helpful. I typically bring some different size Allen wrenches and also little mini screwdrivers. Why the little mini screwdrivers? Because of eyeglasses. And I actually just had this happen with a guest on our last tour, and I had a little eyeglass set that I bring. I also always bring an extra pair of eyeglasses. I cannot tell you how many times we've had guests that have broken a set of eyeglasses, and now they're kind of up a creek because they can't see. And so I always bring an extra set of eyeglasses and some little tools. Now, these are just different size Allen wrenches. I may cut this down depending on what gear I'm bringing, because I'm not bringing a tripod. Even on this trip, I'm taking off all of my plates on my lenses and my cameras to keep the weight down, because I'm not bringing a tripod. If I was bringing a tripod, obviously I'd have these, and I need the tools that function with those. The other thing that I'm going to bring is I'm going to bring a bag of cords. Now, I always have a little bag of cords that have various cords for downloading, that have, my card reader. I have an HDMI cord because I will maybe show some things on the computer to the group, but just a small thing of cords. I also usually have an extra cell phone cord, and I keep these little guys in here as just a way to share images or back up quickly something if I need to. So just basically a little memory stick. So again, just a little bag of cords, really lightweight. Now again, these are things I might have in my backpack now, but I'm not necessarily going to bring with me when I'm out on each shoot. I'm going to take all of this extra little stuff, and it might stay in my hotel room, but I have it there with me. And again, simply will get down to my camera, the necessities for that day that I'm taking out. So I'm not carrying all this as I'm walking around. Otherwise, it gets quite heavy. I think that's pretty much it. And so it's kind of up to you. You know, obviously there's always all your other things, your clothing, all of those things. But as far as gear goes, it's really not that complicated, guys. You know, you get down to your cameras and your batteries, your memory cards. That's your big thing. Making sure you also have good camera straps with you and ready to go, but just being prepared, having everything ready. I'm going to go ahead and get this all packed. I'm going to show you exactly how it looks, and I'll leave you with this list as well in the order that I do my preparation.